Thank you so much for tuning into Horrible People Podcast. I'm Jenn McDonald, and the horrible person that we're meeting with today is Mariam. Would you mind telling us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, what you do, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm super
Thank
excited.
you.
I been watching all of your podcasts. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
cool.
So when you reached out to me, I was like, yeah, I do. Of course I do. Even though, yeah, let's be real, I'm a little nervous, but that's all good.
I love it.
Everybody's always like, what? How are you nervous? You love talking to people. Yeah, I know it's weird.
It still
Um,
happens. Yeah.
right. I run a yoga and wellness business. It's a little more unique than just teaching your typical, like, follow the leader kind of yoga classes. I teach a variety of different practices, and we'll probably dive into that in the conversation. I teach online, in person, and majority of what I do is connected to nature, and a lot of it is outdoors.
Love it. That's amazing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of the outdoors, the week that this releases is turkey season.
Woohoo!
So I know I'm so excited. I can't wait. I've just been waiting for this since like last turkey season.
Legit, it's my favorite time of the year. It's
Me
like better than
too.
Christmas.
Yes. I love like turkey hunting is my top favorite. Are you getting out next week or?
Yeah, April 25th, I'll be out there first thing in the
Awesome.
morning early. I should probably like start waking up a little bit earlier and like training my body again for 3:30
Getting
wake
ready
up
for
calls.
that? Yeah, that's true. That's the rough part. Oh, that's really exciting. Awesome. So what got you into hunting? Did you always hunt? Were you always into hunting and foraging?
No, actually, this is my 7th year.
Oh, cool.
Turkey hunting got me into hunting. So,
Oh, wow.
over 7 years ago, my partner at the time, like he was like really heavily into hunting.
Okay.
My stepdad and like family and stuff had always hunted, and I was scared of guns. Um,
Okay.
and I just never, I don't know why. Like, there's no reason why I should have been. And I just was like, no, I'm never going to hunt with a gun. I'm going to like learn bow hunting. And my brother was really into bow hunting, and like he traveled Canada and did archery and
Oh,
was like
cool.
really into that. And then fast forward, I met somebody that loved hunting, and he gun hunted a lot. Yes, he used the bow for some stuff, but not for everything. And then I just was like, he's like, you should just try it. Just like, let's just go shooting. I was like, okay. And then like one thing just led to another, and I was like, oh my God, this is like stress release, and like it's just
Yeah.
like being connected outside. And yeah, and he's like, let's try. So we started with grouse hunting, actually, grouse hunting and rabbit
Fun.
hunting in northern Ontario. I'm originally from Alberta, so
Oh,
I've
okay. I
kind of
didn't know
like
that.
moved all around the country, and I
Yeah.
landed on the Bruce Peninsula in Ontario. um, I have no family here. They're all out west. However, my partner at the time was like, we're going to get you into it. And I was like, okay. And I loved nature and I loved hiking. And so we just kind of went for like a bird walk, and we'd go for a rabbit walk. And then he was like, you know what? I think you would really love turkey hunting because it's very interactive. And I'm like very high energy and super hyper and like squirrel. And I was like, I don't think I could ever sit still enough for deer.
It's hard.
Well, fun fact, this past year was my 5th deer hunt. And I just harvested my first deer this
That's
past
so exciting.
fall. Yeah. So turkey hunting's so fun though because it's interactive and you get to talk with them.
Yes.
You get to like, I mean, no matter what season you're hunting, you like get to be connected to nature, but there's like a different vibe in the spring to like wake up with the
Yeah.
forest.
Yeah. Everything's like waking up for the year almost. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing all of the new plants and everything come up, all of the new little baby animals. Like, yeah, the year's just like beginning basically. It's really cool
That's
to
like kind of
watch.
like my new year. Like people always celebrate like
Yeah.
January as a new year, but really spring is like the beginning of a year for me.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, New Year,
Hmm.
the legitimate New Year is like in the middle of winter, so you just go from like
Right?
winter to more winter. So I can totally see that. I saw on your Instagram that you offer that you, I guess, showcase outdoor education. So what kind
Hmm.
of outdoor education do you either teach or offer to your followers?
Yeah, so I teach a number of different retreats throughout the year.
Oh,
Majority of them
cool.
are in the spring and the fall, mostly because those are my two times of the year, my favorite times of the year, where I get to like teach people about different plants and animals, and it's an abundant season in the spring and the fall. Summer and
Mm-hmm.
winter, not as much, for, to keep people's interest when, especially people that are like new to like learning about different plants, whether they're edible, medicinal, or utilitarian. Um, and then I most recently, I think I'm on my fourth year of leading some modules with the Great Ape Empire. I teach on a survival course. So I'm one of the female
Cool.
facilitators, and I guide mindfulness from a place of being connected to the outdoors. So anything along the lines of like breath work, guiding people how to like calm yourself down or energize yourself or warm yourself up or cool yourself down. So
Oh,
very cyclical in terms of what we're doing in the outdoors.
that's so cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. I think I saw maybe a picture or a post about like first aid maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't realize there was so much more to that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so the survival course that I kind of collaborate with, it's a partnership with a couple of different organizations, but it's definitely led and facilitated by a group of veterans.
Oh,
So
cool.
Canadian Force, yeah, so military folks that have brought their skill set, and they do this, and it's anywhere from weekend courses to module courses to 7 days and 10 days.
Wow.
So there's anything to do with, fire making, shelter making, filtration of water, like your basic survival, but then also there's a component of the medical side. So if you were, you're on a hike somewhere, or you're like going to look for like leaks, or you're going to look for some sort of plant medicine, and then you've been looking down the whole time and you're like, oh shit, I'm lost. What do
Yeah.
I do? And now like night falls, it's like, are you prepared? Because you would be so surprised. Like so many people say like, oh, I could last in the wilderness. And then these people come to the 7 and 10 day course and they leave like, I'm so grateful that I took that course. I'm so grateful that I have these tools because I actually didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah, I guess there's a whole aspect that you wouldn't even think of until you're in that situation.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And speaking of foraging leaks, that's another super exciting season that's coming up. I find that foraging season usually kind of opens up around the exact same time as turkey season. What are some of your favorite things to forage?
In the spring
Yeah,
specifically, I
in the
mean, yes,
spring.
definitely leeks because you can do so many different things with them.
Yes.
And I would say some of the things that are not maybe as popular of like springtime forage is spruce tips. I love spruce tips. It's like they're just like the amount of vitamin C in them, first of all. So they're like kind
Oh,
of like a pop of like citrus in your mouth. So like you can just eat them right off the tree. Um,
okay.
I like spruce tip tea. You can do like a hot tea or a cold tea. And then
Very
you could make
cool.
different sugars with them.
Oh, okay. I've
Mm-hmm.
never foraged for them. I've definitely seen them, and I'm always thinking like, I know those are edible, but like I never bothered, harvesting them before. So this year I'm definitely going to do that, especially the
Yeah,
fact that it gives you like more vitamin C and everything. I mean, it's nice whenever you can forage something that gives you a lot of
right.
nutrient benefits.
For sure. Yeah, usually at this time of the year, I start to like kind of share some like tips and tricks and like, okay, so when you're out, look for these things, especially things that are like easy to identify because
Yeah.
people want something, right? When they go out into the forest, they're foraging whatever. They don't want to like go on a wild goose chase for like
To find
mushrooms that they're
nothing.
never going to see.
Yeah, 100%.
So I try and do like the things that you may see a little bit easier so that it kind of gets you excited to like learn a little more about like flora and fauna.
It's very inspiring almost because it's not like you said, you're just going out like not finding anything, not bringing anything back. And the easy to identify is huge because one of the
Right.
biggest things I hear from people is like, I'd love to, forage for mushrooms, but I'm going to pick the wrong thing and get sick. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I get that fear. Like it just takes a lot of practice and
Yeah. If you're not 110% right, then you're not right at all.
yeah, that's it. Like don't touch
Even
it
if you
unless
have
you're
like the
sure.
littlest inkling that you're like, I don't know. And it's like, if you don't know, then you shouldn't eat it.
Yeah, just do more research, ask somebody that does know, get all those opinions. Yeah, I mean, I won't
For sure.
touch something unless I'm like 100% sure what I'm picking up and putting in my mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
So what got you into BU Yoga Wellness? What kind of inspires you to start that?
Honestly, it's like such a loaded question. It's so funny.
I bet.
So my business name comes from embracing who you are. This is going
Love
to
it.
be like all of the questions, all the answers, all in one question.
That's amazing.
But essentially, it's like people think that because you do yoga or you teach yoga, that you have to be in this box, and it's
Yeah.
like no, that's not true. There's so many people that have different hobbies, different interests, and we all are unique beings. And so, literally, after a number of years working in municipal government, I kind of was just sitting on the couch and I'm just like, I'm so over working for somebody else's dream.
Yep.
And I'm like, I do all these things and I love all these things, and there's no reason why I can't do it for myself. And so obviously it doesn't come without like hiccups along the way. And I was just like thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? We're all unique beings. And that's how my name of BU came about. And yoga
Okay.
and wellness to me is like, yes, it's a large umbrella, but it's more than just like, follow the leader and take a yoga class. It's more than going for a walk in nature. It's more than one specific thing. Like there's no two people on this planet that are the same. And when I first started, it was very hard to put myself out there. Even being an extroverted person and very social and like a social butterfly, everyone thought I was a horrible person because I would teach yoga and do yoga, but I also hunted. I would get
Oh.
death threats
Oh my God.
in my Instagram and Facebook messages, which still happens, usually
Yes.
around hunting season. I think we had a conversation about
Always.
this. That's how we connected.
Yeah, for sure. I think I had shared like screenshots of some literal death threats I received on like a hunting picture.
And it's like, and then my question always is, do you eat meat? And if they don't, that's fine. I respect that. But when they say yes, I'm like, so where did you think that meat came from? Or do you just think it appears in a styrofoam package?
Yes, exactly. And so often they will be meat eaters.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, BU came about of like incorporating all of the different avenues of living a healthy lifestyle, and a healthy lifestyle from a mind, body, breath connection.
Okay. Awesome. I love that. And of course, like you've built up like a great following, a great business. You offer so many different things other than because I feel like at first you'd hit a demographic of people that are just like totally not hunters until you
Mm-hmm.
finally find the algorithm or you finally find, those people that are hunters or they respect the outdoor lifestyle and they just also love yoga. So were there any other challenges that you kind of faced while trying to build up this brand?
For the first, so I'm in my seventh year
Oh, wow.
of
Awesome.
of this business, and in the first 3 years, I was so scared to tell people that I hunted and was like loved to fish and loved to forage, and it was just like a very. I'm like, okay, I got to find a fine line. Like I like put myself out there. I was building my business, and I climbed it really quickly in the first couple of years with like the movement and breath aspect. But I was like, that wasn't my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal was to target my target audience essentially was the people in the outdoor community. So
Awesome.
in my third year, I created an online series, which this is kind of where it launched me into the outdoor community. I felt a little more safe connecting to that audience more so than just people that were coming just for the movement and breath. And I launched a 4-week series online that was yoga for hunters.
Oh,
So
cool.
preparing for hunting season through physical movement and breath and meditation.
Okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
your work does emphasize breath work. So I'm sure there are ways you must teach how to, I guess, incorporate that into everyday life, how it helps with anxiety. Is that something you sort of teach your client base?
Yeah, I mean, fun fact, at the age of 8, we stopped using our whole bodies to breathe. So the next time you see an 8-year-old, or under 8, I should say, watch how they breathe. They use their whole belly like a balloon, and they use their whole
Oh,
body to breathe in and breathe out. And at the age of, I believe it's like 8 1/4, is when you stop breathing like that. And what happens is we start to breathe from our collarbone and our chest, and we cut off this huge section that we need air to, and we just get what we need. Because, like, obviously, we voluntarily breathe because that's how we're alive, but we don't get that intentional breath. So we're cutting off all of this space by not
Okay.
using our whole body to breathe. So just as simple, and it doesn't have to be fancy, just as simple as like directing breath, starting at the bottom of your belly button and using your whole body to breathe in and out. That's just something so simple that every person can do once they are made aware of it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, that makes sense to me now because I'll do yoga at home just through YouTube videos. And they
Mm-hmm.
always say, like, take a good belly breath, take a good belly breath. And I'm just thinking, like, oh, it's just a deep breath. But yeah,
Right?
if that's kind of like what we have to do,
I
that
feel like people are
honestly,
so interesting to watch because, like, the human library is like the best library on this planet, and I just always watch beings because it's like I can learn so much from them, right? So like
yeah.
that's how I continuously learn through my teaching and through my practice, because people teach me just as much as I teach them something, and it's so interesting to see how many people shallow breathe all day, and then they wonder why they have headaches, and they wonder why they have tension in their ribs, and they wonder why like they get a like stitch in their side when they went running or they went walking too long, and it's like, how are you
Oh,
breathing? And when I say that to
yeah.
people are like, oh my gosh, I'm mind blown. I'm like, you have the tools. That's the problem with like society today, is that we think we need to sign up to be guided to do something when all of it really is an internal guidance. It's like,
Just
let's just,
back to the basics.
right, fully.
Amazing. Okay. Are there any misconceptions that you've come across when teaching, any of your types of yoga disciplines or breathing disciplines? Like, are people
Oh boy.
sometimes a lot?
um, so number one, people think yoga is only for women.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I probably have more men as clients than women,
Oh, cool.
which is super cool. And it's honestly because I teach from a standpoint that everybody can do yoga.
Yeah.
I will admit I am the most inflexible yoga teacher you will ever meet in your entire life.
Really?
I have a lot
Okay.
of invisible injuries just over the years of playing competitive sports.
Mm.
And people think that like you have to be able to do the splits or stand on your head or do a handstand. All of those things are great, and there's no judgment for that at all. If that's what you're doing yoga for, then that's totally cool. But lots of people think that yoga is one thing when it's
Yeah.
actually just a way of life.
Okay. That makes sense. Because I mean, I enjoy yoga because I feel better after I do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Like my body feels better, my mind feels better, but I always just think like it's just to get me more flexible.
It's funny too, you saying that it gets you more flexible. That's another misconception, is that like yoga is just a stretch. It's like, oh, you went stretching today?
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I actually breathed
did
intentionally
something.
and was silent and still. Like, there's so many different styles. So I teach a few different styles,
Yeah.
and they're all very different. So I teach a flow practice on Monday evenings in studio, and that flow practice is more your typical yoga. And I say that with quotations because everyone's always expecting it to be like a workout,
Okay.
and yoga is more of a work in my way of guiding. And it's like, yes, it serves a purpose to move at a faster pace, but also connecting breath to movement is what my flow practice is all about. And then yin in studio, I don't teach it below 75 minutes because you're holding poses for like 3 to 5 minutes, and in that
Oh,
practice you're accessing connective tissue. You're going deeper than just muscles, and you're supporting your
okay.
fascia that is, supporting your muscles. So if you taught a 60-minute class at the end, you're going by, like, you're not doing that many poses, and you're not giving yourself time to like sink into those poses.
Okay.
And then restorative
Awesome.
yoga, which is a whole other ball game. It's the art of not doing. So like a lot of the men that come to my restorative yoga classes, they call it nap yoga, sleep yoga, because they're like, oh, we're just going to take a long nap. But it's more meditative. It's more about
Okay.
mindfulness and staying present in the moment, but supporting your limbs. So there's no like stretching, there's no lengthening, there's no strengthening. You're literally completely supported by a number of different props that gives your body an opportunity to feel fully supported, to just kind of like take a deep breath and let go for 90 minutes.
Wow. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, that's just so healthy for the mind and then for the body.
Right. And then one more other misconception that I find absolutely hilarious that ties into the connection of like hunting and nature is that people think if you do yoga or you teach yoga, you have to be a vegetarian.
Oh, yeah. I have
I'm like,
seen that
where?
like in media so
Yeah,
much. They just present like people that do yoga as being these, vegan. I don't even want to say tree hugger because like I love nature, but I still hunt.
right. 100%. And it's like, I get it. If that suits you and that is your diet, then I respect that. But I need meat. If I
Yeah.
don't eat meat at least twice a day in two of my meals, like my energy is low, like I don't feel good, like I need that in my diet. So who is somebody else to tell somebody that they don't need that, you know?
Yeah, it's so weird to think that people are connecting this like discipline or practice with your diet. I mean, like
Hmm.
what other sport or activity is connected with, you have to only eat
Right. And like the
vegetables?
spiritual practice of where yoga comes from, like where it originates, like where some of the styles originates from, that culture, that community definitely are more of a vegetarian community
Okay.
and culture. But if you looked at how yoga has evolved and how people need it, you should be teaching or guiding yoga to a place of making it work for that person,
Okay. Yeah.
because at the end of the day, yoga is about freeing your mind and your body from suffering. So if we're telling somebody that they need to be vegetarian, but that's suffering, creating suffering for somebody, then we're not doing good for ourselves or for that
Fair
individual.
assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes sense. And a lot of your yoga or your classes, you said like it's all a lot of outdoor practice. So are a lot of your classes held outdoors?
So weather permitting, of
Yes,
course.
totally makes sense.
So spring, usually Mother's Day is when I start my outdoor practices.
Love it.
And then I usually travel across the region that I'm in and bring
Oh,
yoga to unique places and spaces. So, for example, I have a mini mindfulness retreat happening at a flower farm. It's a tulip farm in May for Mother's Day weekend. And
beautiful.
then during sunflower season, I usually teach in the sunflowers. And then usually during like pumpkin season, I'll teach at a pumpkin patch.
Oh
And I
my God, I
try
love
and
it.
curate it so that there's an experience of being connected to nature and also to our breath and our bodies.
Very seasonal too, which is
Hmm.
very nice. It helps to get people out, get them excited. Do you see a lot of benefits to doing yoga outside, just yourself versus being inside?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like you are able to calm that mind. Like our minds are designed to wander and to think, right? Like, and but there's some people like myself that have monkey brains that just like don't shut off.
Yep, me too.
And so just being outside, like having, the feeling of grass or ground versus
Yeah.
the space of a floor, and then looking up and seeing trees in the sky rather than looking at a ceiling. It's a very different vibe. And until you do it for an extended period of time, you don't necessarily notice the differences. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, it's way better. I'd way rather look at the sky and trees and nature than look at a ceiling fan.
A wall or something. Totally agree. I mean, I'm a huge believer in like grounding and you're out there in your bare feet and all of that kind of stuff. And you can hear the birds and you can hear what's going on outside. So, yeah, I mean, without even knowing the science behind it, I can totally understand that doing it outside, being outside, so much better for you and probably so much easier to get better results than just doing it in your room kind of deal.
Yeah, for sure. And especially we are so connected to devices and like technology these days. I just feel that we do so much online that it's just nice to be outside. Get outside.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly it. Like, yeah, get away from the screens, get away from the blue light, get away from the constant distractions. Like, phone's always going off, emails are always coming in.
Hmm.
Totally. Could you tell us a little bit more about the survival courses? So I don't remember if you had said earlier how long you've been teaching those survival courses for.
Hmm. I think I'm like, gotta jog my memory here. I think this will be year three.
Okay.
I think this will be year three. The next survival course is the May long weekend.
Okay.
Forgive me, I can't remember the dates off the top of my head.
I don't
Um,
remember.
but it's May long weekend. And I'm gonna be making a post here soon. I
Oh,
was just
sweet.
waiting for the collaborative efforts of the Great Ape Empire to launch that, and it's on their website. But I can link it in on my Instagram.
Yeah, and I'll
Um,
share it in the description below because I know so many people are always so interested in those survival courses and foraging courses, and I constantly have
mhm.
people asking, like, where can I learn this stuff?
Yeah, so we used to do 7 and 10 day courses, and then there was like a need and a request to do shorter courses for people that were coming from all different distances and like not being able to take off 10 days because we all have many hats that we wear in our lives. So we're doing a weekend course, so it's just the May long weekend, the Friday to the Monday, which is great. And then there'll be another course in the summer that is a
Cool.
longer course.
Very nice. Okay. Yeah, I think people would be very, very interested in hearing about that. That's, like I said, something I always get questions about. Like, I want to learn more about being outside, being more confident outdoors. So good to
Yeah, and
know.
there's like so many great things that you can learn. Like, I mean, the shorter the course, obviously less material is covered. So we do more basic survival training in the shorter courses, but some additional things that get mentioned, like fishing, hunting, trapping, those things get
Okay.
mentioned more on the longer courses, which is super fun.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah.
So it goes into everything.
Hmm.
That's awesome. And in your day to day, what are some wellness practices that you have to incorporate every day yourself just to feel better and to keep that healthy lifestyle?
Walking barefoot.
Oh, sweet.
I hate shoes. I hate socks. Fun fact, I actually have socks on, which is weird, but I
So
normally
weird.
don't like socks and I don't like shoes. But yeah, barefoot on the earth at least once a day is mandatory.
Love it.
Gratitude practice and writing. Writing is so important to me. It's kind of like Dear Diary, but like as an adult. So you just like, I just like dump, like not
Offload.
right. It's like someone has to hear it and not someone all the time. Sometimes it's my book that needs to hear it.
Yeah. And just writing things out totally helps. I mean, they say, like, if you're upset at someone, just write everything out first. And
Right?
then you might have a different opinion as to whether you're going to actually approach them with this or not. Like, just
Yeah.
get it out of your system.
And then movement. Some sort of movement every day is a non-negotiable for me. So
Yeah.
definitely, whether it's, I've been taking these interesting classes. People are calling them kangaroo classes, but they're actually Kangoo and they're like on like these
Oh,
bouncy shoes.
oh,
And
cool.
it's just
Yeah.
fun. It's different and it like kind of keeps my movement practices like spicy and like, I'm a squirrel, so I get distracted very easily and I'm like, I need to do something new.
Different. Yeah. No, that sounds like fun. I have a couple of friends that have done those, and I'm like, oh my God, that looks so freaking cool. Like,
It is so cool until you can't walk because you were like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. I'm like, everyone's like, but you teach yoga. Like, aren't you flexible? Aren't you like in shape? I'm like, this is cardio, folks.
this is different. Yeah, totally. And what kind of advice do you have for somebody that wants to, you know, do what you're doing? Like, start their own wellness business. Especially like, I mean, for you targeting a specific niche is awesome because it's clearly a demographic that, needs that representation because it's all for the most part in people's minds, vegans and whatnot. So at least it shows people like, yeah, I can get into this too. So do you have any advice for someone that wants to kind of start their own business like you have?
Yeah, I mean, teaching yoga and running a yoga wellness business are very different. So, fun fact, I do teach yoga teachers. I
Cool.
run one 200-hour yoga teacher training. I operate a yoga teacher training school. It's the
Amazing.
the umbrella underneath my business for Yoga Alliance. So I do teach yoga teachers to become like, so the 200 hours is really like an introduction to teaching yoga. It's like your first step of,
Wow.
like getting your feet wet and getting into teaching yoga. And we go through like all of like yoga philosophy, anatomy, meditation, mindfulness, all of the physical practice, poses, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, first of all, it's like, what I always tell people when they're like, I want to be a yoga teacher, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What's your why? What do you want to do? Like, why do you want to do this, right? Like, do you just want to lead classes because you love, you love your personal practice and you want to be able to share that? That's great. And then what kind of style of yoga do you want to teach? And then lots of people come to me and they're like, but I want to open up a yoga and wellness business. I'm like, that's a whole other can of worms. So there's
Okay.
lots that goes into, running a yoga wellness business. You can teach yoga classes and be an independent contractor and not have to ever open up a business. If you want to do more, master classes, workshops, you want to, do retreats, there's so many different things. So I always tell people, do your homework and ask yourself the question, why?
Yeah, I guess people would kind of jump into it without asking those questions, which seem very important and kind of tell you which direction you need to go in.
Mm-hmm. Especially
So,
like people that have been teaching yoga like on the side kind of thing because like they love it. Like it's like their side job or like a hobby, and then they're
okay.
like, oh, I could do this full time. And it's like, so just factoring in that like you can't work an 8-hour day and teach 8 hours of yoga in a day.
Yeah,
So there's the reality of like the business side of it, right? So like, financially and like, are you driving? Where are you driving? It takes you time to build your class. It takes you time
true.
to, are you responsible for, taking payment, advertising? Like there's a lot of different things that go into like a 1 hour yoga class, right? So
So many
ask yourself
factors,
why.
eh?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's fair for sure. Um, do you think that there's anything that modern society is kind of missing when it comes to health and wellness?
Oh, wow, that's loaded. Um,
A lot.
a lot. Everything? No, just kidding.
For, I mean, probably.
I feel like modern society tells people that they need to pay for something to get here. Here's where I'm going to take my business hat off. Um, you have the tools within you, right? Like if you want to move your body more, you can do it without signing up for a class.
Just
If
do it.
you want to connect to nature, you don't have to go to a survival course or a retreat. You can go in nature. You can find information online. You can do your research. I always tell people when they want to do anything, it's like just move through that process with a beginner's mind. Ask
Okay.
questions because it's like the only way you're ever going to learn about plant medicine, whether it's edible, medicinal, or utilitarian plants in the forest, is if you research them. And it's like, ask all the questions like, why is this leaf this direction? Why is this branch here? What is it close to? If you found a mushroom there, it's like, was it on a dead log? Was it on something that was alive? Like, what kind of animals are around? Like, just like go from a lens of like a child that asks way too many questions because that's why they ask so many questions because they're like a little sponge, right? Like they absorb all of that information. So it gives them the opportunity to like, oh, okay, now I learned this and I learned that and I learned this. But really the modern society tells us that we have to pay for something to learn it when we can teach ourselves.
Yeah, that's true, especially with the internet being such a great source for so much information. I mean, yeah, the guided foraging classes and courses and walks, amazing because you kind of get that first or that expert opinion of like, yes, you can eat this. No, you can't eat that. This is what this is used for. But I mean, yeah, a lot of stuff is self taught. Like
For
myself for
sure.
hunting and foraging, like, bring up Google, bring up YouTube and take a
Mm-hmm.
look at all of the different factors that would go into making that mushroom to properly identify it or
But
no.
also on the flip side, I feel like we trust the internet too much too. So there's like that
Yeah,
fine
I
line.
know.
It's like, what is your source? And like, because I've had people like call me, like, it's like odd hours of the day, and they're like, Mariam, I found this really cool mushroom. I'm gonna send you a picture, but like, I feel like it's this, and I'm gonna eat it. And I'm like, first of all, no, you're
Whoa,
not.
whoa.
Not on my dime, you're not. Don't call me and tell
Yeah.
me you're eating something. Second of all, it's like I'm not giving anybody advice over the phone or a picture. I'm
Mm,
not doing it. I'm like,
smart.
no chance.
Yeah.
Find a trusted source. I mean, ask questions. Yes, the internet can be your friend, but it can also
Guideline.
hinder. Yeah, it's a guideline. Let's go with that. It's a guideline.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, if I am trying to find a new mushroom and I think I found it, I'm going to look at multiple sources. Like, You know, if there's a shadow of a doubt, if one source says one thing and another says another, I'm just like, ooh, not touching this just yet.
Right.
That's why those foraging groups on Facebook, love them. They're amazing. But so many people just put up a crappy picture and they're just like, hey, can you identify this? Can I eat this? And I'm just like, don't ask Facebook. Like in the comments section, there's like 5 different answers here.
Right.
Do your research.
Kind of scary.
It's great to, you know, maybe get some information, have an opinion given to you, but like don't take that word for solid gold. Like,
right.
Yeah, I will never comment on those and be like, yeah, go ahead and eat it, because I'm like, I do not want to be responsible for somebody getting sick in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, scary times.
Yes, it absolutely is. So where do you see BU being in like 5 years? Do you have any goals or anything that's going to change? Or
I mean, there's lots of change on the horizon. Cool. I'm a very open book, but I recently went through a separation with my partner, so I am still up here on the Bruce Peninsula. I'm not sure what direction I'm going in terms of like geographically speaking.
Okay.
I love Ontario. Ontario's nature has kept me here for a number of years. Even when I like leave for a little bit, I always come back. So I don't have any plans on leaving Ontario, but I mean, I never know what the future holds. I'm kind of a gypsy soul. I've always really been like that. This is the longest place I've ever lived in my entire life.
Wow. Okay. And how long has it been?
July will mark 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get that. And I mean, after, you know, a separation, when you work for yourself, you have so many options to just kind of go wherever.
Right.
It's not like you're tied down to like a job or like a location that a job is or anything like that. So yeah.
And like I have clients all over Ontario because of the nature of like how many times I've moved. I have clients out west still. Like
cool.
I still stay connected and, you know, host retreats in a number of different places. So I mean, the world is my oyster.
So lots of change coming up. That's exciting though. And I mean, yeah, it keeps you like inspired and motivated for sure. Yeah.
My life's not boring, that's for sure.
That's good. That's amazing. Are you planning on doing any fishing now that, you know, the season's starting, the open water season is starting to open up?
I always say I'm a hunter that likes to fish, but I also don't like putting my own bait on my hook.
Okay.
I'm like, I'll clean animals, but I don't like things that squirm and worms.
Those
I'm like,
squirmy little guys.
So it's actually really funny because I said, I'm like, I need to fish more this year because like I really pushed that aside because I was so determined to successfully harvest a deer. And I was like, I did everything in my power in the last fight. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. So I put like everything of like hunting and like outdoors into successfully harvesting my first deer. And I literally went out on the worst weather and I was like, this is going to be the day that all of this happens. And sure enough, I was right. It was. But I said to myself, I'm like, around like December after muzzleloader season, I was like, I'm going to do more fishing this year. Like I need to stop pushing it off because I used to do way more fishing when I was out west. Okay. And ever since I moved here, I don't really do that much just because the nature of like, I moved to a parcel of land that was forested. So I spent a lot of time and energy getting it prepared and, you know,
clearly it paid off.
Right. Like wildlife management and all that kind of stuff. So this year I have a couple fishing trips on the horizon. One of them, actually, I went to the OFAH Gala in Owen Sound in March, and I was a successful live auction bidder, which I've never, ever participated in a live auction before. So I got a fishing trip for half the amount of money for 4 days.
So exciting.
And I'm going in the first week of June. So I'm super excited. And it's like Gulgama area. Northern Ontario. So it's about a 7.5 hour drive from me. But it'll be a nice little adventure. And May long weekend, there's a fishing trip on the horizon. I'm trying to lock in some details, but that's like Temiskaming, like the Quebec side area.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I'm Quebec's got some good fishing. That's awesome. Is there a specific species you're targeting in June whenever you go on this trip?
walleye. I mean, we call it walleye
Delicious.
where I'm from, but people call
Same
it
here.
pickerel. People call it pickerel here, and they're like, "Why do you call it walleye?" I'm like, I'm not American. I'm from Alberta, and that's what we
Yeah.
call it.
I love that like pickerel walleye debate. Oh my God.
Oh
I
my
call it
gosh.
walleye. Everybody I know calls it walleye, but then you meet some people from a different area and they're like, that's not a walleye, that's a pickerel.
Right? What
Okay.
region are
Well,
you from?
I'm Eastern Ontario, so I'm really
Okay.
close to the Quebec border, about an hour east of Ottawa.
Okay. Yeah, sweet.
So yeah, I mean, for the most part, we all call it walleye, unless I, haven't met a few people around here that decide it's pickerel. But
Yeah,
I
that's
see those
interesting because
debates.
everybody I know from that region, they call it pickerel too. So that's why I was like, what region are you
Oh,
from?
weird. Okay, maybe I'm missing out on those people. No, that's really funny. And so can you tell us a bit about your deer hunting story, like the first deer that you got?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Horrible day.
So I hunted during rifle week and I was hunting with my partner at the time and we went out every day and he had a doe tag.
Okay.
And he was like, we're not, he's like, we're not using that doe tag until like towards the end of the week, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. 7 deer walked out in front of us 3 days in a row. And
Oh,
he's like, it's not happening yet. No, not yet. Like we had a couple of bucks in the area, so we were like,
wait on them.
right. And then we went hunting. He did some bow hunting, and then I went out and we did. It was muzzleloader. It was
I like
December
muzzleloader.
4th, and I don't have a muzzleloader gun. I borrowed a gun because I was
Okay.
like, I'm freaking determined to go out there. And I was like, this is going to be the day. It's like, no, I don't want to go. Anyways, 7 deer came out. One of them stood by herself. And I was like, it was freezing, Jenna. It was freezing. I was like
Oh
walking out
my
there. The snow was up to my
God.
knees. I'm 5'3". I'm very short. But like, I was
Me
walking out
too.
there and I'm like, what am I doing? This is stupid. I'm like cursing to myself. I'm like, this is going to be the day that it happens because it's so dark. It's so cold. I was once my toes and my fingers get cold.
Oh,
It's
forget
so,
about it.
I'm like 5 minutes before I took the shot. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not sitting here.
Been there.
And then I was like, you came out here, you have to hunt, da, 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 all this stuff. I'm like, if I leave right now, everything is going to come back out. And we have the camera set up there too on the food plot. And I was like,
Oh,
okay, fine. And I'm like, screw it. I'm going to stay. And I was like, anyways, a bunch of deer walk out and I don't see them because I was so cold. My brain was like focused on like just trying to stay
yeah.
warm. And I'm like, I get a nudge and I look around and I'm like, oh shit. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, okay, I got to sit up because I was like slouched just trying to stay warm, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I get the crosshairs. Everything is like perfect, but I'm like, the deer starts to move a little bit and now there's like a tree branch and like I've never killed a deer before, okay? So like you can imagine like every little everything is just like I'm like breathe.
Zipping through your
Here's where my
mind.
breath work comes into play. I'm like
Yes.
take a deep breath, right? And so I'm like just waiting for the deer to like walk like inch just a little tiny bit more. And I took the shot and I was like I was shaking. I was like, "Oh my god." Like did I get it? And I waited. And I waited well, everyone's like, "Wait longer." I'm like went for a
It's
walk.
down.
She didn't go more than 30 yards.
Good shot.
And
Yeah,
then,
she was
yeah,
just
I was
done.
like, and it was like perfect shot. And I was like so scared because I'm like,
Oh
I've
my
never shot.
God.
Like I've practiced shooting, but I'm like, I've never killed a deer before. Like
Yeah.
everything changes, right? You know, if you're sitting upright, if you're breathing properly, if you're shaking, I'm just like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay, like, anyways, it was so much fun. And it started to snow so heavy. And
Oh
I'm trying to
no.
drag this deer just to like the spot to open it. My partner goes and gets the four-wheeler and like we're trying to like and then the four-wheeler got stuck.
Of
And it
course.
was like then a tree went down. It's actually I'm like, of course this is gonna happen. I'm freezing still, by the way, because I'm still outside. It's like been an
Yeah.
hour of like all of the things, right? Like, but like I'm freezing, but I'm sweating because like my adrenaline is like controlling my whole being right now. Like,
Which makes
oh
you
my
even
gosh,
colder.
right? I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was the first time that, so my partner's like, you know, you killed this deer, so like you have to do all the work. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, yeah, of course. I'm
I'm
like,
going to.
but like I'm gonna start doing things and you're gonna guide me because I don't want to do something wrong, right? Like I've done it before with him, like when he
Yeah.
successfully harvested and like just to learn, right? But I'm like, this is the first time I'm doing all of this on my own, right? Jen, I started to throw up when I was clean.
Oh
When I was
no.
taking the guts out, I was like, oh my God, I can't. She's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm doing this. And it was like, I think because I was so cold and my adrenaline was so crazy. And I had sat, because that was the longest sit I've ever done. But I was like,
Oh
if you don't
shit. Okay.
sit, like, you're never going to see things. So I was like, I
No.
literally was like pretty much out there, like, from noon onwards. And it's like going on like
Oh,
6 something now, right?
that's
And
too
like
much. Yeah.
sundown was like 5:08 or something. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. So like he helped me. Um,
Thank
but
God.
it was I was like, oh my gosh, I did feel bad because there was milk and I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
And he's like, well, the fawns should be weaning off. Like they shouldn't rely on mama anymore. But like I had like a little moment with the deer and I was like, oh my gosh, I took a mama. And like, and then I did more research and I asked more friends that like are in hunting that have had way more experience than me. And they're, you have nothing to worry about. And fun fact, the fawn that was, I'm assuming was her fawn, she is living her happy life because I see her on the cameras all the time.
oh, awesome. So,
Fine.
yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, that's, I guess, why they open it up for does. Like, the fawn are fine to live on their own. It's
Mm-hmm.
just
So
a
then
quick wean.
we ate the deer heart that night, and then I essentially partied all night because I was like, oh my gosh, it finally paid
Oh,
off. Like sitting out there, I was like,
such a high.
everybody in the community came over, and like we had some
Love it.
celebratory drinks, and like everyone was like, I live in a small town, so everybody knows everything in a matter of
Yeah.
seconds. They're like, Mariam got her first deer.
I love that. That's so funny. When I got a buck a couple of years ago, it was like a nice looking buck. I had it in the back of my truck into my driveway, and then some guy drives by and he's like, oh, that's like a gorgeous buck. Can I take a picture? And I said, yeah. And then the next Monday at work, a guy that I work with comes up to me and he's just like, oh, I've got a picture to show you. And it's the deer that I had taken. He's like, oh, my friend sent this to me. And I'm like, I know that girl. So it's so funny, like small town that people hear about a deer that you harvest. Like it's talk
Yeah.
of the town.
It totally was. I like had so many messages. Like some people, I was like, "How did this person already find out?" Like I've been outside for like an hour, like you know, cleaning and like prepping to like hang it for a couple of days, and I'm like, I'm getting messages, and like people are like popping in. I was like,
Congrats.
"Oh my gosh!"
It's so funny. Yeah. Every deer season, like you're at the gas station and it's like, oh, you hear so and so got their buck, or like, did you get a deer yet? And I just love that community feeling and that time of year where everybody's like involved in everybody's lives so much just because of the hunting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, we are, coming up to our closing marks. So I'm going to link all of your information in the show notes, but where can people find you online, on social media?
Yeah, so I have a website, buyogawellness.com. Also, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at BU Yoga Wellness. Everything is kind of the same. Everything is like squished together, so that it's easy and seamless to find me. Yeah, so anything online, any offerings I have, I always post on my Instagram and on my Facebook.
Okay.
And then anybody that wants to sign up for any of my offerings can reach out whichever platform serves you best. It all goes to
Amazing.
the same device.
Yeah, exactly. Constantly getting notifications from every which platform.
Right?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. I know the listeners are going to absolutely love this. It's super helpful. And I know that breath work alone just plays a huge, huge factor in any sort of shooting and hunting. So, that's what a lot of our listeners currently are, hunters and sports shooters. So yeah, I think this is going to be an awesome episode for everybody to learn something.
Thank you so much for having me. That was super fun. I'm not nervous anymore.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Once you get talking, it's just like, this is fine. Just need to get that.
A couple of friends call me Walt Disney because they're like, you're such a storyteller. You could talk for hours. I'm like, oh gosh.
That's exactly what podcasts need. So I very much appreciate that. Awesome. Well, thank you.
All right, girl. Thank you so much. That was super fun.
Yes, for sure.